A story came out on Claret Hugh's social media website around about 9 o'clock on Wednesday evening that apparently contract talks between David Moyes and the board are slowing down. And the reasons given are that there's because of the supporter unrest and because of recent results, the board have decided to slow things down with regards to negotiating a new contract with David Moyes. Now, if you recall, when I did the West Ham Weekly on Monday night, I suggested then that it's highly unlikely we're going to see any outcome of any contract negotiations, probably until around after the Europa League games that are coming up in March. I don't think much has changed since then. So I think this is a slight twist. The report came from Claret Hugh's website. This is a slight twist on what I suggested the other night, in that negotiations might be sort of slowing down. I said I don't think we're going to hear anything for quite a while yet. But the other part of the story that has broken on Claret Hugh's website tonight is that David Moyes himself might decide to take his future into his own hands. Um, it was reported by Sports Lens, who claimed supporter unrest and the poor run of form from the team has seen the negotiations slowing down. But our main source, Sean, has exclusively said the story is not true, but I think David Moyes may decide to call it a day if the fans don't want him to stay. However, who knows what he is thinking at this moment? Now, you get it. I know David Moyes has said I'm not on social media. I don't listen to it. I don't engage with it, etc. But things will get back to him. He's got friends. He's got family who are going to be looking at social media. We're going to be talking about it. There doesn't go a day when any of us in this day and age are not affected or have not read something on some social media outlet or the other. And we end up having a conversation. Even me and my partner, we may be working all day, doing other things, etc. But at one point in the day, at the very least, either she or I will go, "Did you read that story about Blur?" And I dare say David Moyes, even though he says he doesn't get affected by it and he's not interested in it, I dare say David Moyes will know what's going on out there. I dare say he'll know that there's a poll or several polls at the moment that are asking the question: if David Moyes signs a new contract, will you stay? Will you keep your season ticket next season or not? And stuff like that. Now, I think after a while that becomes quite telling. It becomes quite a grind when you're sort of being hit by negativity after negativity, whether you believe it's right or not wrong. I'm not questioning that. I'm not here to judge you whether you think that responding to a poll or calling for Moyes to leave, etc., is right or wrong. That's not for me to determine. But I guess when it's aimed at an individual, that's going to be quite telling after a while. That individual is going to grow quite tired of that and it's going to sort of sit back and go, well, if I'm not really appreciated, then why am I even bothering? And that could resonate with David Moyes. He might turn around and go, what is the point of all this? I could retire. I could go to another club. I can go wherever, and manage other teams. And I suggested on my show on Monday night that there would be clubs that would take David Moyes in the Premier League. And I stand by that. I think one or two clubs will be looking quite enviously at what David Moyes has done for West Ham United and probably say, I'll have some of that, thank you. Look at Everton. I'm not suggesting Everton for 1 minute would want him back, but look at Everton. Ever since David Moyes left, I don't think they've been anywhere near the top spots in the league since. I could be wrong, but I don't think they've reached. What was it when he left them? They were 8th in the league when he moved on to Man United. I don't think they've reached that since he moved on. So there are going to be clubs that are going to be going, well, what does he bring to us? Well, he brings stability. He makes sure that we've got a stable grounding for the football club, and then let's see what goes from there. Of course, with that, we know David Moyes it's about not losing first rather than going out there to win. We know that. We know the football can be turgid. We know the football can be boring, but we have stabilized over the last few years where we've been, I don't know, inconsistent as a football team. Where 1 minute we're fighting relegation, next minute we might be challenging for Europe and then back to relegation. I know that's happened under David Moyes, but I still think that last season was more of a blip than a normality under Moyes, to be quite honest with you. I think where we stand in the league table at the moment, in 7th place, I think that's where we'll continue to go. And when fans talk about, well, we need a manager that will take us to the next level, my suggestion is that we're at the next level. I think the question should be, rather than should we be having a manager to take us to the next level, we should be asking, should we be having a manager that will keep us at the level that we're now currently at? Moyes has finished 6th, 7th. Last season was a blip, 14th. We're at 7th at the moment. We could stay there. We might slip further down. So that's the question that we should be asking. Should we not have a manager that will be consistent at the new level that we're at? I'm not suggesting that this is the only level that we should stay at. Of course, we should be aspiring to try and finish in the top 4, above and beyond trying to finish in the top 6. But at this moment in time, that's where we're at. We're striving on a regular basis to try and finish in the top 6 of the league, which is the next level. This isn't advocating for you to hear me out, suggesting Moyes should stay, etc. I'm as frustrated as you, with the style of football that's being played. But the reality is we have stabilized under David Moyes, and we've realized a number of years in Europe, which not many of us would never have dreamt of it happening. So it's going to be quite interesting to see whether David Moyes does take his own decision. Now, I think, we kind of know the one thing that we say about Moyes is he's stubborn. He's a stubborn man. He's his own man. But that stubbornness could also lead to him making that decision and going, I don't need this. Maybe I'm better off without it. So let's see what happens. The next few games are going to be interesting. Of course, we host Arsenal at home, hoping to do the treble over them this season, which is possible. It's quite possible that could happen. But many fans believe, with the style of football that we're playing at the moment, that that's highly unlikely. But we got a couple of aces up our sleeves, because it looks like Mikel Antonio is back. Don't know how match fit he'll be, but I dare say he'll play some part in the game against Arsenal at the weekend. And of course, Lucas Paqueta is also likely to be back again. Probably not start, but maybe have a part to play from the bench as well. So that gives us a little bit of hope. And then, of course, after that, we've got Nottingham Forest away, which is going to be a very tricky game. Not an easy game at all to get anything out of. And then, of course, we look at hosting Brentford the following week at the London Stadium. Again, another tricky. They've become yet another bogey team for us, haven't they? So if David Moyes doesn't get anything out of those next 3 games, it's quite possible that the board may stall and start reconsidering. So I don't think that part of it is new. As I said earlier on, I suggested that on Monday night show that the board may not make a decision until after the games in March. And I stick to that. I think that's going to be the line, where the board and David Moyes may make a final decision on his contract. Now, it could go the other way. It could be that everyone is so sick of the Moyes in, Moyes out debate that the board might just bite the bullet and go, do you know what? Here's your contract. Let's just shut everybody up. Here's your contract. Let's deal with it as we go along. The board could decide to do that. They could decide to turn around and say, we want you. We want you to stay. We're going to give you this contract in order to sort of refocus on the football rather than what's going on in the background. It's possible too. There could also be an impact, if Moyes decides to go, on what Tim Steidten does. Because we've all been led to believe, haven't we, that Steidten will definitely go if David Moyes stays at West Ham United. Oh, without a doubt. There's no way he'll be working with him next season. But has anybody ever wondered, maybe Steidten's actually enjoying working under David Moyes? I'm doing another video. I'm putting it together at the moment about Steidten and the interview that he had with Sky Sports Germany. and the comments that he came out with about, the signing of Calvin Phillips, etc., and still talking about moving forward, the project that we're looking at building, etc. He never once said that's with or without David. Well, I guess he wouldn't, but who knows? Maybe he's actually enjoying his time with David Moyes, and maybe working under him, he's seeing a different side of football with transfers, etc. Hence the agreement to sign Calvin Phillips. It's unusual, isn't it? We know Steiden as the pearl diver, someone who's going to unearth brand, new talent around the world. But maybe he's also recognizing that in the Premier League, we also need a little bit of experience, some leaders, as he called Calvin Phillips. So who's to say that if David Moyes decides to walk, whether Steiden decides to stay or not? It could mean that Steiden decides to go as well. There's a lot of conundrums in this. There's a lot resting on what happens over the few weeks. It's not just cut and dried. It's not just cut and dried to just say, oh, David Moyes will stay and everything will be great, or David Moyes will leave and everything will be even better. It's a lot. There's a lot more riding on it than we realize. But that's the latest story. Claret Hugh on Wednesday evening had put out a report suggesting that David Moyes, that the talks between West Ham United and David Moyes have slowed down. Nothing new there. I didn't think any decision would be made anytime soon. But the new part of that is that the manager may take a decision on his future in his own hands. But as Sean has said, the story's not true. I think Moyes may decide to call it a day if the fans don't want him to stay. However, who knows what he's thinking at this moment in time. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all soon.